Welcome back, everyone, on this Tuesday. It's Morning Line. Nick Barris along with John Harris. He's with the Tennessee Firearms Association, taking your calls, his perspective on gun laws, gun safety, and the like, 737-7587. Couple lines open, but we got some folks waited through the break, and we're going next to Jerry. Jerry, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, Jerry, go ahead.
I'd like to make two statements real quick. First statement is that the driver's license example doesn't work for me. I've read the Constitution, and driving's not a part of it. Second thing is, somebody used Wyatt Earp as an example. 150 years ago, when you got out of prison, they give you a gun and they give you a horse. Those two things are facts. What impresses me is people's ignorance when it comes to the Constitution. Some wise man said a long time ago that if you're willing to give up your liberty for another man's suggestion that's a freedom or safety, then you deserve neither. I believe that. If you're willing to give up any part of your liberty for security or whatever the scenario is, you deserve neither. Now, keep this in mind. I watched my mother at the age of 5 get killed by a gun. I do not like guns, but another man to own a gun, I want you to have, this is America, I want you to have every constitutional right that anyone else has. My issue with prisoners not being allowed to carry guns is we're real picky on who we prosecute. Whether you know it or not, we have a constitution here in Tennessee that says our budget must be balanced. Our budget's never been balanced. The police never prosecute this. We have no clue. That typical person has no clue what the Constitution really even is. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for your call. I'll tell you this. I agree with Jerry on this. You're too quick to give up your civil liberties sometimes, especially in the name of security, which is a whole other issue. But, from the Patriot Act, which I was never a big fan of, I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't like the idea of sticking their nose into my private affairs for security. The moment you start giving that up, you know what that means, John? The terrorists start winning. When you start taking away your own rights. Now, he's also talking about guns. Do you agree with him?
Well, I think he was paraphrasing Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
And Ben Franklin's quote was,
yes,
as accurate today, even more so than it was in the late 1700s. Because I think we have been, whether it's from our public education system or for whatever reason, we have become comfortable with the idea that we must surrender rights in the name of possible safety, even if that safety is never achieved. And so, for example, we go back to the training question. Was it a surrender of rights to carry a firearm of our choice on the condition that we pay a fee and go through training? And a lot would argue it was, and that it was only done in the perception, the belief that we would be safer. But 20 years of data proves we're not.
All right, let's go to, I think, is it Liston? Are you there, Liston?
Yes, I am.
Hey, go ahead, sir.
Hey, I'm calling from Knoxville. Hello, and hello, John.
Good morning.
How are you watching us in Knoxville?
Oh, yeah. I've got you on my computer.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I appreciate it. Go ahead, listen.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of things. One, the discussion has come up about training. I grew up in Georgia, and I got what was known as a pistol toter's permit way back in the early days of time in Georgia with no training. And even today, the Georgia permits, as far as I know, do not require training. And we don't bat an eye at people from Georgia with permits coming into Tennessee. And, we recognize those permits as well as we recognize our own under Tennessee law. So training really has not proven to be an issue historically anywhere. Another thing, we've really got ourselves in a funny situation here in Tennessee. A person can arm themselves for personal defense in the home. They can do it now in the car since 2014, July 1st, 2014. So you're free to defend yourself at home or in the car. But as soon as you step over that door sill to go into Kroger or Walmart or whatever, now you're in violation. Yet on the other end, if you do violate the law and step out there and carry that gun with you into the store, and you use it in a bona fide self-defense situation, then the law says we won't prosecute. So how do you comment about that?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I was about to say, if you do and you save yourself or someone else in a store and you weren't supposed to have it, no one's going to prosecute you for that.
Well, we
And
actually
they
have a
shouldn't.
statute that prohibits prosecution.
Well, and they should if it comes out. Now, the problem is if you pull it out and you miss and plug a clerk in the head, there might be some problems there.
Well, and that's a potential event that's going to occur with or without a permit, with or without training. That's just I mean, and the highest data in terms of when that kind of thing happens is not with permit holders, it's with trained law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the data shows that happens much more frequency with law enforcement than it does proportionately with permit holders.
And it's a good point. And with law enforcement, which you know as well as I do, get substantial training with their weapons. I've just heard how, and I've never been in this situation, I know you haven't, you do the training, I know you're a crack shot, but boy, when you're in a situation where someone's shooting at you, or and I don't care if they're 5 feet from you, and you're trying to pull your gun, and they're finding the chaoticness of it, to really be accurate under the most extreme stress and circumstances for anyone pulling a gun, I have concerns about accuracy.
Well, there are.
Goodness, and that's even for the best. I'm talking SEAL Team 6 guys, all right? I mean, yeah, even they, and the training they have, you wonder just how do you handle that pressure, much less a civilian who doesn't get a permit and then all of a sudden finds himself face to face with someone with a gun?
See, the training that Tennessee requires, you're shooting at a paper target that's stationary.
Sure.
You shoot 50 rounds and you have to hit 70% of the time in the black.
Yeah.
Which is
under ideal circumstances.
under good circumstances. Now, I have been through what they call stress fire courses.
Okay. That's probably a
and a
better
stress
type of
fire
training.
course,
Yeah.
they manipulate the lights, they flash lights, there's noise.
Fake target, or civilian targets
Moving
come up,
targets.
and then the bad guy targets, and you've got to pick and choose.
But the incentive is, the idea is in a stress fire situation is to make you understand that if you shoot under ideal circumstances, a small group, your group's going to go like this.
Sure,
with
like for
stress.
anyone. It's tough. It's tough.
And it's an eye opener, and it's a type of course that anybody who's gone and had the state required training, I tell them you need to go get the stress fire training.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're safer.
Yeah.
There's reduced risk to everybody around if you've been through that process. It's the difference between driving in a school zone in a sunshine, warm, controlled environment and driving off a hill in the snow with ice.
Yeah, with ice. It's a big difference. That's a great point you make. Let's go to May. Hi, May.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Oh, I went to Buford Toon's class for training to be able to fire a firearm. And now they're saying you don't have to have it.
Are you glad you had the training? Did it help you?
Very, very, very glad I took the training. I mean, that is what everybody needs, and I just don't understand. I just can't understand why we're having all this problem that we're having, and I guess God in heaven only knows why we are. But these guns has got to go.
Well, okay, I'm not sure. You're getting mixed messages. You own a weapon and you had the training. You just advocate, people need to make sure they go get properly trained, right?
Properly trained,
Yeah.
and use them for the right purpose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the right purposes would be what? Hunting, self-defense, target practice. Does that about cover it?
Collection, self-defense.
Oh, if you're a collector. I'm talking about firing the weapon. But yeah, or if you're a collector, yeah, target practice. Well, she's right. But what you're then saying is that you hope most people are like May if constitutional carry passes, where they buy the weapon and still have the personal responsibility to say, yes, I'm going to take the time and the expense to get myself properly trained so I really know how to operate this weapon with efficiency.
Right. Now, she brought up an interesting scenario, or made a comment that reminded me of an interesting scenario. You probably know Buford Toon, and some of your listeners may.
Sure.
Buford's a retired Metro officer, and he's been around since '94 teaching these classes. And he teaches permit holder classes, he teaches advanced classes, he teaches armed security, he teaches a lot of classes. Buford was teaching. Now, state law requires for the permit a minimum 8 hours and a minimum course curriculum. 4 hours classroom, 4 hours on the range. Buford, for the same cost as practically everybody else, was teaching a 2-day class. He went into a lot more information about being a safe, responsible, defensive shooter. Most of the class of the 2 days was in the classroom. The Department of Safety went in and suspended the license because he was teaching a 2-day class. He was teaching more than what
I think I
they
remember hearing
wanted him to
something
teach.
about that.
Which to me is ludicrous.
Why was that? What was the rationale?
Well, they wanted to control.
Oh, okay. But I mean, teaching more. I mean, going beyond.
Yeah,
the
he was
level.
teaching people that were planning to carry guns in public far more, and they weren't being forced to take his class. They chose to take his class. And yet they go in and tell him, you can't teach people to be safer or to use alternatives to firearms. You know, if, for example, you're going into a place that can't, that doesn't allow guns, you know, carry pepper spray, carry something else, or don't go. But I think it really peculiar that the Department of Safety would come in and say to the instructors, you can't teach anything other than what we tell you to teach.
On that note, we'll take a break. When we come back, a bunch of calls. So what we'll do is we'll take them when we get back, get their comments, brief comment, and we'll cycle through them because I'd like to hear what these people say, but it's loaded. We'll be back right after this.
Excellent.